What's going on, guys? How are you going? And today we're going to be doing my League 1 predictions. Obviously, please do take these with a grain of salt because I do not know. I'm not an expert on League 1. I just wanted to do my predictions. Obviously, no really transfers have gone through, so this is kind of early and kind of like premature. So if I don't get everything right, that's probably why. And don't get annoyed if I probably offend some fans, because I probably will. But yeah, with all that said, let's get straight into it, shall we? Alright, in last place, I have put Burton Albion. Right, last season, they came 15th. It was very respectable, right? I think they did good. But they've been showing some bad signs, and one of them was the amount of goals they conceded. They conceded 79 goals in the league, which was the second most in the whole league. Obviously after Forest Green, who conceded 89, but they were just shambles, weren't they? But yeah, I think because of this, and because of all the reasons, Burton are on a downward spiral. I will finish 24th place. Next up, in 23rd, I put Cambridge United. Last season, they survived just by the skin of their teeth on the last day of the season, but I just don't think they're going anywhere. I feel like they're going to be in a similar situation, and it's going to happen again, but this time they're going to get relegated. Next up, 22nd place, I'm putting Port Vale. I think they had a great first season. They stayed up in League 1 last season after getting promotion from the playoffs, but I just do not think they're going to win. I think second season syndrome is going to be their enemy, and yeah, I'm going to put them to go down in 22nd place. And the last relegated spot, I think, is to go to Stevenage. They came second in League 2 this season, or last season, whatever you want to say. But I think they'll be the only one of the promoted 4 teams to go back down to League 2. I just don't see it in them. I don't think they have the quality to stay up in League 1. I think it'll be competitive in League 1 next season. That's why I think this. Just surviving the drop, I'm putting Carlisle. They obviously won the playoffs in that penalty shootout against, I think it was Rochdale or something, I can't remember. But yeah, it was a great final. But they got promoted. I think they're going to stay up by the skin of their teeth. I've put Oxford to stay in 19th. They came 19th this season. Next season, I think they're going to come 19th again. Not much really to say about Oxford. I just think they're going to be as consistent as they were last season, so not very consistent. But yeah, I think they'll stay in 19th place. 18th, I have put Northampton, another one of the promoted teams now. I think they'll stay up, and I think they'll stay up pretty comfortably. Not, I mean, they're kind of maybe in the relegation battle, but I think they'll survive in the end. In 17th, I am putting Fleetwood, a bit of a drop from their last season performance, which they came 13th in. I'm thinking Fleetwood are going to 17th, and I think in the next few years they could see relegation down to League 2. And in 16th, I'm going for another bad season for another club, Shrewsbury. Shrewsbury in 16th is my guess. A bit like Fleetwood, I think, could go down in the next few years if things don't go to plan. 15th, I'm going to put LEYTON Orient. They won League 2 last season. They were very convincing throughout the season, played very well in my opinion. Deserved to win the league, and I think they will definitely survive this season. I think they'll do it very comfortably. They could definitely possibly break into the top half of the table, but I'm not sure about that yet. I put them in 15th place. Number 14, a club which is in a crisis, Wigan Athletic. Obviously last season in the championship was terrible. They came last place, probably one of the lowest ever point tallies in a championship season, and it's because their ownership is absolutely terrible. They have financial problems. Loads of players are going to be leaving. I think they're having an 8-point deduction at the start of the season, and yeah, because of all this going on in the background, I think Wigan will have a bad season going forward. They even could get relegated. I'm not going to be that harsh. It depends how it goes, but they could get relegated. I'm going to say 14th. Wycombe Wanderers, 13th place. I remember only a season ago they were in the playoff finals with Akinfenwa playing his last game, but here we are now. I think they'll come 13th place. They came like 9th last season. I think they're going to drop off even more and finish in a 13th place spot. Pushing into the top half of the table now, Bristol Rovers. Obviously they were promoted last season. I believe that they can start pushing for them promotion spots in a season or two. They've started off very well. Obviously, they survived and they played pretty decent football. But now, I think they're going to be trying to push to that top half of the table, which I think they could do this season. So yeah, good luck, Bristol fans. I'm expecting another 11th place finish for Lincoln City. They came 11th last year, 47 goals against, 47 goals for. Really mediocre, I think. Just the standard, a bit boring, but I think Lincoln will stay in 11th. Next up, it is Exeter City in 10th. They came 14th last season. I think they're going to climb up to 10th. Obviously, they were promoted alongside Bristol Rovers, who I predicted to come 12th. I think they'll have a similar type of season to Bristol Rovers, so I'll put them in 10th place. This is probably one of the most boldest ones I'm doing so far, but Cheltenham, I'm going to say, come 9th place. They have a nice defensive record to say how far down they are in the table. I think it is just scoring goals, which they do struggle at, and if they can get that sorted, I think they're going to rocket up to 9th place in the table. And I'm sorry, Blackpool fans, but I've put you in 8th. I just do not see Blackpool bouncing back from this relegation. There's never been a city for football, have they? Just really go on holiday, innit? But basically, I just think they'll miss out on the playoffs by only a few points probably, but I still think they're just not going to have a great season, are they? We have put Peterborough back in another number 7 spot, back in the playoffs. No, they're not. I'm lying. What am I on about? Peterborough is the ones missing out on the playoffs by 1. Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, I didn't see that. Whoopsie. But yeah, Peterborough missing out on the playoffs. That's what I've predicted. Anyway, 7th place. Obviously, they're in the playoffs this season. They beat... Oh, let's talk about this, right? Obviously, they beat Sheffield Wednesday 4-0 in the first leg. Right, they thought they were cruising. Second leg, 5-1 defeat, and then they lost on penalties. Absolute bottle job from Peterborough, and I think they'll do it again, coming 7th, bottling the playoffs. In 6th, I've put Charlton, a former giant of English football, and I think they're going to want to start climbing up this table once again, maybe getting promotion to the Championship this season if they can, but I've predicted a 6th place finish. And in 5th, it is Portsmouth. Missed out on the playoffs by only about 7 points last season, but I think this season they could definitely do it. 5th place, I think, is achievable. Another former English giant. They finished the season on a pretty good run of form, not losing in the last 5 games. Hopefully they can carry that on to the next season's campaign. In 4th place, I have put yet another massive club in England, Derby County. Obviously they had financial issues in the Championship a few years back, which is why they got relegated basically under Wayne Rooney. But I'm thinking they will be able to bounce back from that and maybe get promotion back to the Championship where they belong. I'm expecting slight improvement from Barnsley, 4th to 3rd, I'm going to say. Obviously they got very unlucky, lost in the final to Sheffield in the 123rd minute. It was absolutely crazy scenes for the Wednesday fans, but devastated for Barnsley. I think they could push to try and get promotion back this season once again. And Fogden, you are very welcome. I've put Bolton in the top 2. I think they'll get instant promotion. Obviously they had a crack at the playoffs this season, just couldn't get past the first stage unfortunately. I think that will change however this season. They will come 2nd place. And of course, the strongest of the 3 relegated teams from the Championship this season, it is Reading. I think they will be League One champions and get straight back to the Championship. They will bounce back strong and they will win the league this season. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.